The views and opinions of the following show do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL, Radio 1 Incorporated, or their management.
Hello. Welcome to Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. I am so happy you are joining me for the launch of my radio show on WOL 1450 AM. I am Ethel Mitchell, and I welcome you to our discussion on the law. First, I have to say thank you to my family, my friends, my colleagues, my clients, the financial advisors I work with, and so many more who have encouraged me to do this show. Thank you to my executive producer, Stacy Royster, and my webmaster, Earl Hooks. Thank you, WOL, for welcoming me to the family, and a great big special heartfelt thank you to Mary and the Mo Better Man for their support and encouragement. Now, I firmly believe that we do better when we know better. I've been a lawyer for over 30 years. I do wills and estate planning now through willsandtrust.net. But I also used to do family law, business development, divorce, and real estate law. And I can tell you the law is such a powerful force in each of our lives. It impacts everything we do. It is one area of the law where what you don't know can really hurt you, and what you do know can empower you. So each week, I aim to empower you. I'm going to bring you professionals who work with the law every day. We'll choose an area and explore its direct impact on your life. Now, this being the month of love, Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell will focus on the impact of law on affairs of the heart. For example, today, we're going to talk about prenuptial agreements. Another week, we'll discuss the legal benefits of marriage, and so forth. And we want you to be a part of the conversation. So grab a pen and write this down. Call us at 1-800-450-7876. That's 1-800-450-7876. Tweet us at LawTalkEM. Like Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell on Facebook. Stacy is standing by to receive your calls and answer your tweets. And check out my website, www.lawtalkwithethelmitchell.com, where you can listen live and vote on whether you approve or disapprove of prenups. So let's get started. They used to say, romance without finance is a nuisance. But people are getting married every day. According to a January 14, 2014 article in Reuters, in 2011, 2.1 million people got married. That's an average of 5,800 people getting married every day. So despite tales of its demise, marriage is alive and well. And black love still exists. According to blackdemographics.com, 90% of all marriages of black men are to black women. So everyone wants love, and the law has a lot to say about love. My first guest is attorney Michelle C. Thomas, and she's going to talk to us about prenuptial agreements. What are they? Why have one? Can you still get one if you're already married? But first, I must remind you, what you hear on this show is for information purposes only. No attorney-client relationship is established by anything heard on this show. Each person's circumstances are different, and you must seek individual counsel for any situation you need legal advice about it. So let's talk to noted D.C. divorce strategist Michelle C. Thomas, Esquire, founder of MC Thomas & Associates, P.C., a complex divorce and family law firm serving Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Attorney Thomas's articles have been published in the Washington Examiner, Washington Times, and Essence Magazine. She has been a guest on Fox News Television and The Audrey Chapman Show. So, Michelle, tell us, what is a prenuptial agreement?
Well, good morning, Ethel, and thank you so much for having me. And first, congratulations on the launch of this show. This is fantastic.
Thank you.
Now, to get to the business of prenuptial agreements, the easiest way people can think about it is in terms of insurance. You do not buy a car without having car insurance. You do not buy a house without having car insurance. Why would you get married? Something that is to be forever without having any type of insurance. So to basically sum it up for your listeners, a prenuptial agreement is a contract, a legally binding contract that determines what happens to your assets, property, money, income, businesses, anything that you've acquired during the marriage in the unfortunate event that the marriage doesn't work out. Now, I know at the beginning you're all in love and you expect it to be forever, but we all know what the divorce rate is, and it unfortunately isn't getting better. And so you need to insure yourself from the beginning.
Oh, that's a good point. Those are very good points. Some people think this sounds a little mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
Nene Leakes ran into this problem with her husband again, Greg. How do you raise this kind of question, this kind of conversation, without destroying the romance? And do you think it's worth it?
Listen, a prenuptial agreement, thinking about or contemplating what will happen in the event that your marriage does not work out, it's not a fun topic. It's not a romantic topic. However, it is an absolutely necessary topic. And what you should think to yourself is, if this is you're marrying someone who is to be your life partner, you should be able to talk to that person about any and everything. I mean, as you progress through life, all kinds of issues will arise. And so if you have difficulty even broaching the topic before you say I do, I would certainly think about how things will go after you say I do.
That's a very good point. Very good point. Tell me, if you're already married, can you get one of these agreements?
Well, we don't call them a prenup if you're already married, but you can get what we call a post-nuptial agreement. A post-nuptial agreement serves the same purpose. It can determine what will happen with your assets and businesses and hard-earned savings throughout the marriage in the event that it does not work out. Now, some may say that if you're thinking of a post-nup, that's already not a good sign.
Right.
But I always say it's better to be safe than sorry. And most importantly, whether you're contemplating a post-nup or a prenup, is you don't want to live life with regret. You don't want to look back and say you wish you did. And so it's about insurance, people. That's what I tell the listeners. It's about insurance.
Okay. You're experienced, Michelle, dealing with divorce of public figures, politicians and professional athletes. But what about our non-millionaire, non-public population? Should even they be thinking about this kind of thing?
Even they should be considering this type of thing. And that's one of the greatest misconceptions about prenuptial agreements, is that you have to have millions in the bank and you have to have businesses and significant assets. But let me tell you, divorce isn't pretty. And
Yes.
so even if you have what you would consider the simplest of estates, going through a divorce certainly can get very, it's very consuming emotionally, it's draining financially, and at the end of the day, you will wish that you had taken this step and been proactive about protecting your future.
Well, that's what this show is all about, teaching you how to be proactive. And so let's take an example, because I meet a lot of people like this. They're single, they own a home, they may be paying a mortgage, but they still own a home, okay? They have a retirement, savings, life insurance, and make good money from $50,000 to $150,000 a year. Some have one or more children, and they're thinking of getting married. Should they be thinking about having a prenup? And please call us at 1-800-450-7876 or tweet us at LawTalkEM to join the conversation.
Yeah, again, Ethel, I have to tell you that even in that sort of circumstance, you should consider or at least consult with an attorney about a prenuptial agreement. And here's why. One of the greatest misconceptions people think is, well, I'm the one who went to work every day. I'm the one who earned and contributed to my retirement account. Therefore, it's mine. But from the moment you say I do, that mine becomes ours. And that is what you're looking to protect down the road in the event that this does not work out.
That is very good.
Very good. I still recommend it, at least looking into it if you don't actually do it.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good. Very good. Michelle, I have another question. I'm a trust and estates lawyer. I prepare wills, trust, and estate planning documents. In fact, my listeners can visit my website at www.willsandtrust.net for those types of services and questions. I had to get that in there. But I often counsel people who are getting married in their 50s and 60s, who at this stage in their lives do have property, and children from different marriages. They're concerned about not only protecting themselves, but also protecting their children in the event of a divorce. How do they protect their assets?
You know, that's actually a common scenario. And what I've seen actually in my practice is when you have parties who are getting married for the second, third time around, and they were adult children, and particularly if the persons are up in age and elderly, a lot of times it's not the couple who is at odds or the couple who is not able to resolve their differences, but it's the grown adult children who are looking to protect their inheritance.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that fuel what can become an ugly and nasty divorce. And so in order to ensure that your children's inheritance remains as it is, you do want to have a prenuptial agreement to say that whatever I'm coming into with, whatever I have going into the marriage is what I will take out of it. And what belongs to my children is what belongs to them.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely want to do that, particularly to protect your children.
Got a call. I think we have a call. Yes, that is very true. And yet you can still, can't you still protect your children and your spouse with an agreement? Okay. I understand we have a caller. Daryl, can you let the caller go? Okay. Yes, hello? Yes.
Hello.
Hi, I was calling because I had a question about prenuptial agreements and what was the best way you felt to present them to your partner. Because, you know, usually when you're getting married, it's a lot of romance and flowers and people are thinking about the wedding. What's a good way, do you think, to present the prenuptial agreement in a manner that will go across well and it's not is like I'm just trying to protect myself?
Right. Well, there are a couple of options, I think, for people. I mean, it is, let's be honest, it's a very uncomfortable conversation to have, but one that you should have nonetheless. I tell people that if they have decided to go through premarital counseling, that's actually a great safe haven in which to bring up some of these awkward, uncomfortable situations or discussions about finances. But even if you choose not to go that route, at some point before you say I do, you should have a discussion about who will be contributing to the bills, the household, how will you divide finances, will you have a joint account, will you have two separate accounts, how will you maintain things? And then I think at that time you can say to your spouse, and what do you think we should do if this doesn't work out? How would you want to go about handling that? What if you decide to be a stay-at-home mother and you're not able to work at the time that things unravel? How would you ensure that you won't be left out on the street without any support financially for yourself and your children? And you can express and certainly couch it in the terms that say that while you don't expect that to happen, you just don't want to be left out in the cold at the end of the day. And you also want to convey to your partner that it's mutually beneficial, that you're not looking at this just from your perspective, but also for the other person's perspective, that it will help both of you down the road in the event that it were to arise. And then certainly reassure that, of course, you don't think it will ever arise.
That's good. Caller, did that answer your question? I certainly hope
Yes,
so.
it does. And I had one more question. I wanted to know, was there is there a standard prenuptial agreement that you can sort of look at? Or what's the cost behind getting something like this prepared?
Sure. I mean, you know, in the age of the internet, you can certainly Google prenuptial agreements and come up with several samples from the internet. However, I do suggest consulting with competent legal counsel because it is a contract that is legally binding. And if you do not have legal expertise, you may not be aware of what all the terms and the language mean. And you also may not be aware of all of your options. One of the things with a prenuptial agreement that people may not realize is that you can almost do anything in the agreement as long as it's not grossly unconscionable. But there are a lot of options in terms of figuring out how you will support one another down the road, how money and assets will be divided. And so you want to take the time to consult with someone so that the attorney can look at your individual situation, look at your individual assets and accounts and what your concerns are, and then help you to devise an agreement that works best for you and your family individually.
That was a great answer.
Yes.
I want to...
You're
quite
welcome.
Thank you. You can reach Attorney Michelle C. Thomas at 202-536-4841, or tweet her at Divorce Law Firm. You can also reach her on her website at thomaslawdc.com. There is a link to her website on LawTalkWithEthelMitchell.com as well. So please do call if there are any other questions that are out there, 1-800-450-7876. Okay, or tweet us at LawTalkEM to join the conversation. Now, I should say at this point that we are going to have Attorney Thomas back next week.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm so pleased that she's agreed to come back next week. And so therefore, those of you who are listening, if you have questions that are not being answered or we've not been able to get to them, please tweet us, call us, or send us a message on Facebook or on our website so that we can get to these questions. Another question I have is a lot of people inherit property, okay? And they want to make sure that that property stays in their birth family or goes to their children and does not become a part of a divorce proceeding. Is this something that can become part of a prenup as well?
It is something that can become part of a prenup. I would also say that in most jurisdictions, even though laws vary from state to state, inherited property, whenever you receive it, whether it be before the marriage or during the marriage, remains that person's separate property unless certain things are done. So that's something that people should know. If that's the only reason that you want a prenup, then you want to talk that over with an attorney to determine whether it makes sense for you and your situation. But you certainly can include inherited property, or any property for that matter, in your prenuptial agreement. There are things that people may not even think about, such as someone's last name. Do you want to determine what happens with the person's last name in the event of a divorce? Mm-hmm. There's, various types of things that people can consider. But yes, definitely that's included.
Okay. And don't you have to be careful if you're living in inherited property, but your money is going to take care of that property? Can't somebody gain marital rights from doing something like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was alluding to when I said unless certain things happen. And this is why you need to consult with competent legal counsel, because it can get complicated and a little bit messy. But if you are using inherited property or living in it and somehow commingle it with other property that you acquired during the marriage, then the nature of that property can then turn from separate inherited property to marital property or a mixture of both. And so you have to be really careful with what you do with it. And, these are concepts that you most likely won't find on the internet or just by Googling it.
Right.
You really want legal counsel involved if that's the scenario.
That's a concern.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Attorney Thomas. I have asked Attorney Thomas to come back next week.
Yes.
And we're going to continue this conversation, but we're also going to bring in a conversation about what the law has to say about common law marriages. There are a lot of people who are living together, and they may think that they get rights from living together, whether simply in what they think is a common law marriage or under the new domestic partners agreement, which is for heterosexual couples as well as same-sex couples. Are you are going to talk about that for us next week?
Yes, they will have to come back to learn the answer next Saturday.
Yes.
What happens in those common law marriages? Absolutely.
Okay. Very good. Very good. So please tweet us. Go to LawTalkWithEthelMitchell.com. Vote to determine if you approve of or disapprove of prenuptial agreements. Go to my website and let me know what you think about the show, and also suggest topics about the law that you may want us to address. I would very much like to know that. I look forward to talking with you all next week. Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure about my time there. Okay, so we want to explore good ideas about the law that will empower people. Michelle, tell us, what other kinds of things you want people to think about when they are considering getting married?
When you're considering getting married, there's obviously the other all of these sort of external factors, such as love and mutual respect, and how do you communicate, how do you resolve conflict, and all of those things. but you really want to be proactive about ensuring that your future is protected. And that is really the most important key. And so you actually can simply consult with an attorney on your own. Your spouse doesn't even necessarily have to know you've done that or done that research, but you may just want to do some preliminary background to make sure that you are looking down the road and not just living in the moment and not just being caught up in all that love. And we know this is February, this is love month. And so people get, love it. They say love is blind.
Love is in the air.
And love is in the air. So, but at the end of the day, marriage is it's a contractual arrangement between two people that can last a lifetime. And so you want to make sure you do it right the first time around.
That's important. That's important. And to remember that you are going to be involved with this person financially.
Absolutely.
You're
going to
be involved with them legally.
Absolutely.
For the rest of your life. And if you have children by them, you're really going to be involved with them for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. And if you wouldn't buy a car or a house without insurance, why would you get married without insurance?
That's a really
And that's
good
what a
point.
prenuptial agreement is.
That's what a prenuptial agreement does.
Absolutely.
For you.
Gives you peace of mind.
Listeners, do you hear that? Do you hear that?
Yeah.
I think this is great advice. It really is.
Yeah. And, the goal is always to put the prenup away and forget that it even exists. But in the moment that you have to pull that prenuptial agreement out, you will be so glad that you have it.
I can say ditto to that. I have had many clients over these 30 years, and I have had a lot of clients to say they wish they would have had a prenup, and other clients that always say, I truly am sorry that I've never had anybody to say, I'm sorry I had a prenup.
Absolutely.
I've always had people to say,
I'm sorry I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Stacy, I understand we've got some tweets. Tell me about it. Tell us what's going on.
Yes. Hi, Ethel. We have someone on your Facebook page, actually, that wants to know what's an example of some of the messy problems or the most messy problems you've seen arise in your practices, and what could have been done to avoid them if they had a prenup.
Michelle?
Oh, my goodness. Where do you begin with that question? I feel like I've seen and heard it all. But, certainly a common thing that happens is money disappears at the end when parties are starting to separate. If you have a joint account and all of your finances are in that joint account and both parties have access to it, someone can transfer money out. And if you have a prenuptial agreement, instead of having to go through litigation, you can just present your prenuptial agreement and say, I am entitled to this amount of money, and that is what I will take with me when I leave this marriage.
That's important. I've had clients who literally had over $200,000 put into a joint account, and one party took all of the money out of the account.
Yeah.
And when they went into the divorce, there was nothing the judge could do because it was a joint account. Stacy, do we have another question?
Yes. Someone named Jackie would like to know, do you need some sort of agreement if you're living with someone but are not married or registered domestic partners?
Ooh.
Yes. That's a good one.
That's a good question.
The short answer is yes. A cohabitation agreement is also advisable for those circumstances. But I think we're also going to address that next week.
We're going to address that next week. So listen in next week. Now, I understand we have a caller also on the line. Yes, please. Hello?
Yes. If there is real estate involved and the house is paid for, the one parent specifies, because she's unsure of her husband, that it goes to the heirs to ensure that her children inherit the house. If it's specified on the deed heirs, can they get caught up anyway in a dispute?
Yes. I mean, the short answer is yes. Mm-hmm. But, Michelle, you want to address that also? I mean, from an estate planning point, yes. I mean, the answer is out and out yes. But
yeah, but I think an agreement, prenuptial or post, certainly helps to guard against that type of scenario. And that's what we're talking about here today.
And I have, when I do wills and estate planning for people, I have them to bring their deeds in. That's one of the things that I always want to look at the deeds, because you want to see in what capacity they have title. And you can do a lot with a deed. There's sometimes, particularly, especially in blended families, you can take care of the other spouse, by doing a life estate, in case one dies before the other, and yet still say when that person dies, it goes to their children, or
Right.
however it is that you want to do. So you can still take care of your family, but
Absolutely.
you've got to do it in writing. You've got to be proactive. I think we're getting close to the end. I hope you all have enjoyed this show. Join
thank you
us
so
each
much.
week.
And thank you so much for having me. It's been fantastic.
Oh, you're more than welcome, and you've given us great information. Attorney Thomas will be back next week with us, so send us your messages, tweet us, like us on Facebook, Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell, and also go to my website, lawtalkwithethelmitchell.com. I will have Attorney Michelle Thomas come back, and I'm looking forward to hearing more and more from you all each. I can be reached at 202-772-1988 for your wills, trust, power of attorneys, healthcare directives, and estate planning needs. Attorney Thomas can be reached at 202-536-4849. We can all do better when we know better. So get inspired, get educated. Let us see you back here next week at Law Talk with Ethel Mitchell. I am the host, Ethel Mitchell, and I hope that you will learn and be empowered